And I am going to be talking really fast. I have a 2-minute speech for 1-minute intro. Sorry.
Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and welcome. I'm Betsy Stites, the president of the Woodbury Cottage Grove League of Women Voters, and I'm especially pleased to have all of us here tonight for the St. Paul City Council Candidate Forum. It's one way the League of Women Voters really helps to live our mission, and that is empowering our voters and making sure that we can help defend democracy. Our vision is to, where every person has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the competence to participate. I always like to underscore the importance of our nonpartisan position. And so I'm going to read it because we really believe in our nonpartisan position. We neither support nor oppose candidates or political parties at any level of government, but always are working on vital issues of concern to members and the public. We've done these candidate forums for years because we think it's so important for our public to be educated before they go to the polls so that they have a good opportunity to really discern who do they need to vote, who do they want to vote for. So I'm really so thrilled to and say how much we appreciate our candidates being here tonight. There are 6 candidates for 4 positions this evening. As you may know, we don't have a live audience because we want to underscore the safety and concern for health of all our public. We'll follow the same format as last year with only candidates and volunteers in the room. We'll use the phone number that's going to roll across the bottom of your screen so that you can text in questions, and we really encourage questions to come forth so that we can make this as meaningful as possible for our public. I want to now turn it over to Liz Nordling, who is our moderator, and she is our expert and has been doing this for years. So thanks, Liz, very much.
Good evening and welcome to this League of Women Voters Forum for the candidates in the November election for St. Paul Park City Council. My name is Liz Nordling and I will be moderating this forum tonight, and I do not live in St. Paul Park. This forum is being broadcast live on South Washington County Government Access Cable Channel 18, that's if you're a Comcast customer, and on Channel 8542 on CenturyLink. And it will be live streamed and archived on their YouTube channel at swctc.org. The order for speaking tonight will begin in alphabetical order and will be rotated thereafter. Candidates' remarks are being timed to assure equality of time, and the seating for the candidates follows suggested guidelines. Questions have been submitted via the local league's website. Questions may be called or texted in during the live forum to the number that appears at the bottom of your screen. Texting is preferred. There are 4 candidates for 2 open seats, which is a 4-year term, and 2 candidates for 1 open seat, which is a 2-year term. The candidates for the 4-year term are Patrick Downs, Sharon Ornquist, Jeff Swenson, and Bruce Zenner. The candidates for the 2-year term are Tanya Foote and Jeff Haggerty. All of our candidates are here tonight except for Sharon Ornquist, who did not respond to our request for her appearance. We will begin with opening statements, and we will go in alphabetical order, and we will begin with Patrick Downs.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, again, I'm Patrick Downs. I've been a resident of St. Paul Park since 2006. My wife, Deb, and my 3 kids, we live here in St. Paul Park. For the last couple years, I've been on the City Planning Commission. For the last 2 cycles, I've been an election judge. And for the last about 2 years, I have been the city representative to the South Washington County Telecommunications Commission, the people who help put all this on TV for us. About 2 or 3 years ago, after all my kids graduated from school and I got done with Scouts, I had some extra time, and I really, really sincerely have enjoyed the opportunity to be involved in local city politics. I want to move up from the commissions. I would love to be on the city council, and I would like to sort of expand my ability to participate and help out my city.
Thank you. Next with her opening statement is Tanya Foote.
Again, I'm Tanya Foote, and I am a candidate for the two-year term on the council. I want to thank the South Washington County Telecommunications Commission for this video and the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this. I'm currently Secretary of the Public Safety Committee, having been a former chair of this commission, and I am a former council member, having been appointed in 2019 to fill a vacancy position. I've served like Patrick, I've served as a city primary election judge, and I've been a member of the District 833 Community Educational Advisory Committee. If elected, my number one priority is to further strengthen the bond between the city and the council. My past experience on the council, I believe, uniquely qualifies me to again represent St. Paul Park on the council, and I would appreciate your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Next with his opening statement is Jeff Haggerty.
Yeah, hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Haggerty, and I first of all like to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this event. I've lived in St. Paul Park all my life. I am married. We have 6 children together. I attended myself Pullman Elementary, Altman Junior High, and Park High School. I purchased my home shortly after graduating from high school and have lived in St. Paul Park ever since. All our children have attended public school at Pullman Elementary, Altman, and Park. We still have one boy that's at Pullman Elementary and another boy that's at Altman Middle School, so I have a lot invested in St. Paul Park. I've worked as an engineer at several different high-technology companies across the Twin Cities, from Maple Grove, Chanhassen, White Bear Lake, but I have always lived in St. Paul Park. I consider this my home. I currently work at Abbott Laboratories in Little Canada as an engineer, designing and manufacturing life-saving heart valves. During this pandemic, I have never missed a day of work. My wife and I have been vaccinated and believe that everyone has the right to choose to be vaccinated or not. And you can contact me at 651-387-9682 or on Facebook with any questions.
Thank you. Next with his opening statement is Jeff Swenson.
Thank you, Liz. First of all, I would like to also thank the League for putting this on, and they've done a great job in the last 16 years or so I've been a part of this. And yes, I've been your city council member for the past 16 years for 4 terms. I've lived in St. Paul Park roughly 28 years. I am the CFO vice president of United Theological Seminary in the Twin Cities, so I've worked in both nonprofit and for-profit industry as a CFO or as the finance person. And to me, this is a very unique year for us, because I can say that the citizens of St. Paul Park are winners, because the people who are sitting up here, the 6 individuals, or the 5, I should say, because I'm one of them, but the 5 individuals I've known, one of them for 15 years, and most of these for at least 2 years plus. And these are all individuals who are giving of themselves to the community, and I don't think there could be a wrong distribution here of any of these 6 people. I don't know, maybe they'll talk about me being one of the bad ones, I don't know, but we'll see what they say later on. Thank you.
Thank you. He got the stop sign. Next with his opening statement is Bruce Zenner.
Hi, I'm Bruce Zenner. I've also lived here all my life. Currently finishing up my first year on the city council. It's been fun and different. My city experience goes back, I was on the fire department for 36 plus years. Been involved with Police Reserve, Athletic Association. I'm involved with the Lions Club, currently as the president. I just like to continue on. There's a lot of projects in the works, and I like to continue on being involved.
Thank you. We'll plunge right into questions, and the first question will go to you first, Bruce. The Star Tribune reported yesterday that the Twin Cities has the worst housing shortage in the nation. How would you work with neighboring communities to address housing availability in the region, and how would you revitalize existing housing to address the current needs?
Wow, that's a good question. In our area, in St. Paul Park, we're kind of landlocked, though we do have some land available for construction, and I believe there is one project in the works that could be a large project for us. So we don't have the land currently to expand like others do. I would say that there's been a lot of new people moving in, refurbishing housing in St. Paul Park, and that's always good. Working with our neighbors, like I said, we're kind of landlocked, so it's kind of tough to go with what they want to do.
Thank you. The question now goes to Jeff Haggerty.
Yeah, so Bruce said it well. We are landlocked. There's limited opportunity for us to expand housing in St. Paul Park. You know, giving some incentives for people to refurbish their homes might be a good idea. But any opportunity that we have to expand housing, I would certainly be for it. I'm not against it. But there's some hurdles that we would have to overcome and negotiate with the county, the city, everything else. So Cottage Grove, Woodbury, they've got plenty of opportunity to expand, and they're expanding very quickly. And they're also having a lot of burdens from expanding too quickly because their infrastructure is not able to support what they currently have because they didn't plan for that early on. So we need to plan for those things as well. So whenever we make city improvements, we need to plan that there may be opportunities to expand housing in St. Paul Park.
Thank you. Question now goes to Patrick Downs.
No, being on the planning commission, actually, we just had a really nice application come in from Habitat for Humanity to put in 6 houses. Fantastic. It went through the planning commission, it went through the city council, everybody was on board. Couldn't be happier. Those are the kinds of great little projects that we can bring in to small pieces of land. And again, they're not growing new dirt. We don't have any new dirt. So a lot of it's gonna be fixing what we have, improving what we have. The big problem is, there's parts of St. Paul Park, especially the parts that we've annexed, that they need services. They need sewer, water, and and that's money, and that's taxes, and that's a sensitive topic. So expansion isn't free. There's a cost, and it's something that we should think about. But again, if we don't spend the money to expand, we're never going to expand. So, there has to be some give somewhere, and I wouldn't be opposed to spending a little money to expand.
Thank you. The question now goes to Tanya Foote.
I would really like to see some low-income housing somewhere. I don't know exactly where, and I don't know all of the repercussions of that, but I really do think that we need to explore some low-income senior housing, low-income family housing, and I would really, really support that. Again, like the 2 gentlemen on either side of me said, there are repercussions for that. It needs to be planned. There are economic problems, but I still would like to see some of that occur very soon, something started.
Thank you. The question now goes to Jeff Swenson.
Thank you. In case we haven't heard, we're somewhat landlocked. But we do have the annexed portion down along the southern border we're looking at. And of course, we do follow regulations set before us by the Met Council with regards to affordable housing and what that mix looks like. And Mr. Downs spoke previously about Habitat for Humanity. So we're working with organizations whenever a situation arises where there is a property that can be used efficiently like that the city has worked with them. We also have right now Block 89, which is down below 3rd Street, that we are looking at developing, or developers looking at providing new homing for us. And again, that will have to follow the Met Council's guidelines with regards to affordable housing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any additional comments? No. Then we'll move on to the next question. It goes to Jeff Swenson first. What is your vision during your term that you would like to complete or accomplish to help make the city more attractive to new people that might want to move to the city?
Well, I have never really run upon a cause. Basically, my role has to make sure that the city runs efficiently. Again, that's what I bring to the council, is my finance and operations background. And providing the services that are as cost efficient as possible, I think is the best way to bring in new residents into our existing housing. And It's all about making sure that you're providing the best services possible and making sure that the infrastructure is solid. And we have to make sure that we continue to upgrade that infrastructure and not let it deteriorate around us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The question now goes to Bruce Zenner.
Well, I'm going to kind of ride on Jeff's coattails there. On our infrastructure is the biggest thing, and not only for the new residents coming in, but our residents that we have. Our roads are aging. The underground systems, utilities are aging. And we need to update those. And I think if those are updated, the city itself would improve.
Thank you. The question now goes to Tanya Foote.
My personal perspective on this is that I would really like to see more businesses here. We have some great businesses in downtown, and they've been very, very supportive of fundraising events, and the fire department, the police department, they're just really great partners. But I personally would like to see some other businesses come in. I'd love to have a mom and pop hardware store. I'd really like to see kind of a gift shop come in. I would like to see, as Jeff said, some services come in too. We have to be attractive to future residents. We have to provide services. We have to do good things with our schools and with our businesses. And as I said, my personal bias would be to have some partnering businesses move into St. Paul Park.
Thank you. The question now goes to Patrick Downs.
I guess I would see that there's two opportunities that we have here. One, on the business end is taking a look at maybe the marina area. I mean, that's a place that's been, we're on a river, and we've got this marina. We have this gem of a place that we need to, get the code straight so that it's attractive to outside investors, it's attractive to people, get them in there, and create this new kind of dynamic place for people to go, for people to enjoy. And on the business end, on the homeowner end, I would really look at the annex parts of the city in the south, which is, what can we do to make that attractive? And again, that involves spending a little bit of money. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna, try to hide it, but I think if we could spend some money, pull some services down there, get some developers interested, work with them, again, we can attract business and we can attract residential customers to the city and make some things happen.
Thank you. Question now goes to Jeff Haggerty.
Yeah, sure. So there are some incentives that we can use to attract businesses. I don't know exactly what they are right now, but those would have to be negotiated, obviously. But yes, we need to get more businesses here in St. Paul Park. That'll help attract more, homeowners to come to St. Paul Park. Yeah, and then incentives for people to fix up their homes as well. And as far as the infrastructure goes, when I'm driving around in St. Paul Park, I see a lot of the roads that are out there, and they do need improvements. And then the utilities, those need improvements. And yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional comments? No. Then we'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Jeff Haggerty.
Okay.
How do you plan to pay for major park renovations, which was recently discussed at the commission level, when there are significant needs to infrastructure, including roads, sewer, and water?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. We've all been talking about it, each of the candidates up here. That's a difficult situation. I'm all for parks. Parks are very important. St. Paul Park has some of the nicest parks that I've seen. I've been to a lot of different communities. They may not be as fancy as some communities, but they are very nice parks. They're well attended. We do have a lot of citizens that go to the parks, but infrastructure is the most important. The utilities, the roads, the sewer, the water system, all of those need to be maintained, and we can't have any of those fail. Just as simple as the electrical system that we have here in St. Paul Park. It was pretty embarrassing to have 2 days where we didn't have power. One of the first things I would like to do is to talk to Xcel Energy. They have electronics that can monitor each of their meters, and they should be able to tell right away, that meter isn't working, that meter there is. And so they'd be able to figure out the cutoffs between people that have power and don't have power, and then react to that.
Thank you. The question now goes to Patrick Downs.
One of the issues is that, our city isn't expanding, our tax base isn't expanding, and our the budget for the city hasn't changed by more than a couple of percentage points in, I don't know how many years. So, again, we're in this kind of, I'm not gonna call it a stagnant situation, but we're in sort of this suspended animation where I know people don't like paying property taxes, I know they don't like paying extra costs, but again, at some point, the voters, the people out there in the streets are gonna have to make a decision, what's important. Is it the streets and roads and electrical systems, or is it the parks or what it may be? So, at some point, somebody's gonna have to let the council or the planning commission or the Parks and Rec Commission say, this is the priority, this is what we want. I don't know that I can say what the priorities are. I'd rather listen, because they're all important, but at some point, if we don't spend the money, something's gotta give.
Thank you. Question now goes to Jeff Swenson.
Thank you, Liz. The parks again, are very important, and it shouldn't be forgotten, but I think we've done a lot of upgrading to the parks in the past few years. And there's also grant possibilities and other fundraising. The Legion, for instance, provides great funding for a lot of those sort of things. But again, the infrastructure is an important thing. 16 years ago, when I first ran it, the residents were required to pay 100% of the assessment for any street reconstruction. And so one of the first things we did was we came up with an assessment policy, dropping that down to 33% for the residents, and I think it was like 40-some for the businesses. We need to keep that up. We started a policy of doing a few roads every other year to make sure that we didn't overspend our debt ceiling. And we need to continue with that. If you've driven down on Third Avenue or any of those roads down there, Stevens Ridge, we need to do some major work in there. And there are plans to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. The question now goes to Bruce Zenner.
Being a past member of the Park and Rec Commission, we have spent money on our parks and have kept them updated. I know there are some projects that they would like to see, but we really need to get our road system back up to service. And I think we could tie some of the park projects that they are looking at into that road project also. Through the funding, there's groups out there, like Jeff said, the Legion, the Lions, through the Park Service, stuff like that. There is funds that we could use on some of our parks, but right now our infrastructure needs to be done first.
Thank you. The question now goes to Tanya Foote.
I think all of the candidates have pretty well reiterated what my feelings are on this, but I think Patrick kind of hit it on the head. The voters really need to respond to this and feel like the parks are important. I think for a small area, we have a significant, wonderful bunch of parks. It was too bad last Friday that several of the trees came down. I felt bad about that when I saw that. But I think we have updated, as Bruce said, we have updated our parks. I think it's important to continue to see them as a priority and somehow find some funding to continue to make it accessible to people.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional comments? Then we'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Tanya. How aggressive would you suggest the city be when assessing future road projects? And how would you propose to pay for them?
That's a good question, and it's a tough one. I have been on the council previously, and we've talked about roads and streets and keeping them up. I think our Public Works Department does an excellent job of keeping us informed and keeping the roads good. I personally, in my neighborhood, I don't see any issue, and I'm not real sure how we would pay for that, but we have to continue that. That's part of attracting people into the city, because if we don't have good roads and good infrastructure, they probably will not want to move here. So it's an important question, important issue.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Swenson.
Thank you. Like we stated, we came up with a plan about 16 years ago, and we've been working at the various councils I've been on, and taking sections of road. And when we first started, the residents in the neighborhood meetings were not all that thrilled because they were used to the 100% assessment. But now we have people actually coming to us saying, when are you going to do our road next? And so we have, as a city, we have an excellent bond rating, and most of our street projects are done through bond ratings, capital projects. And we'll continue to do that because we've had past road projects that are finally coming off the debt schedule. And so then we were able to take on more. The problem is that the cost of doing the roads is significantly higher than it was 10 to 15 years ago, and the assessment values are much higher, and so we need to do smaller projects. And I think it involved the residents. We want to hear from the residents with regards to the neighborhood meetings, because it is going to take more of their hard-earned income. Thank you.
Thank you. The question now goes to Bruce Center.
I'll, again, agree with what they've been saying here. It is up to the citizens. Everybody wants the new roads, the improvements, but it does cost a lot of money. I know the last 4 years, we've been looking at a certain section of town, and we're still talking about it, trying to figure out how to pay for it, how to keep the costs down. Some of the roads that are in need currently are on hold because of our situation down in Gray Cloud with the land down there. So how do we improve a road without having the funds? I guess we'd have to wait and see and hear from the citizens.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Haggerty.
Yeah, sir. So my home, fortunately, had the roads done 10 or 12 years ago, and I'm so thankful that it was done during that time period, because yes, it was cheaper back then. Right now, it's significantly higher to repair the roads. The home where I grew up in, and my dad still lives there, is awful, and I would love to see that road updated. But again, like Jeff Swenson mentioned, it's very difficult, it's costly, and if we do update the roads, the homeowners need to be assessed fairly, because that's the fairest way to do it. Yeah.
Thank you. Question goes to Patrick Downs.
I guess this is almost similar to the parks question in that, again, we have a city budget that's been pretty stable for quite a few years. And so how do you get more out of the same when prices keep going up and costs keep going up? At some point, again, you go to the citizens, you say, okay, I mean, is it trees and grass or is it potholes? I mean, where do you want us to go? And if it's potholes, well, then we sit down, you just kind of, where's the need the greatest, and what can we limp along with? But as far as assessment goes, I guess I would have to err on the side of being slightly more aggressive, which is if it has to be done, it's not going to get any cheaper, it's not going to get any easier, so let's get it done, and let's not have, people have to drive over 10 potholes to get to their house. Or let's not have people have to drive over 10 potholes to get to the house maybe they want to buy in the future, because that's really not serving the current citizens, and it's certainly not going to serve anybody who wants to come live here.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional comments?
I just wanted to say one more
Yes.
thing, and I apologize, is that, yes, I would be aggressive in getting the roads repaired. Just like the others were saying, if the roads don't look good, homeowners aren't going to want to move into St. Paul Park or purchase a home in an area that has poor roads. So it'll also be a resale value for the homeowners, so they also have to look at that yes, you'll be assessed, but it'll be a good resale value for them.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would like to say that with my year being on the council formerly, I believe the council always continues to make good budgetary decisions. I've been in on some of those discussions, and they don't take this responsibility lightly. I think we have just so much money to work with, and I think they are very responsible at spending.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then we'll move on to the next question, and it goes to Patrick first. How would you address the concerns regarding speeding on the city streets and near our schools?
I live on Lincoln Avenue, right by Pullman. I see people every day driving up and down. There's the stop sign right by the pump house that people blow by all the time. Other than just having an increased police force, I mean, I know there's always an officer sitting right by Pullman. I know I've seen patrols. I'm partially self-employed, so sometimes I'm home during the day. I don't know what more the police could probably do, other than just do community awareness. And I see the posts on the city Facebook page saying, please, people, stop speeding. I think you just have to appeal to people, please be careful, be mindful of the kids that are walking the streets. I don't know what more we can do other than just ask people to please be mindful.
Thank you. Question goes to Bruce Center.
I guess besides having increased patrolling, you're right, having people slow down, asking them to, if they're going to do it is a different question, but I guess it comes down to more patrolling and if we had some signage up or, those speed patrol signs seem to work to let you know what your speed is. Maybe we could install some more of those.
Thank you. The question goes to Jeff Swenson.
Thank you. Again, this is just kind of a quick reminder about how, to the people out there, that we're all your neighbors, because I just live on the other side of Lincoln and Pullman, so I also see everybody blowing through those stop signs left and right. Sometimes they'll slow down a little bit, which is nice of them, but this has come up more and more in the council meeting. We've had neighbors come in and have conversations with the council with regards to different streets. Pleasant is one that is currently under review right now. And there's talk about putting speed bumps. There's talk of more patrols. There's talk of making it into a cul-de-sac so that people could not run up and down there. But we are listening to the residents as they come in. We're doing what we can. Unfortunately, you can't legislate silliness. And we've also understand that lowering the speed limit doesn't necessarily lower those same drivers into compliance. And so we're doing what we can on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Haggerty.
Yeah, sure. So speeding is a problem in St. Paul Park. There are some areas that, people speed through. They're not paying attention. There are some creative things, and one of the citizens that was on Pleasant, I believe, was saying that people, to avoid the railroad tracks, the arms coming down, they'll go through one street and then take Pleasant at a high rate of speed just so that they can get around. And yeah, one of the things that was brought up, and I brought it up, was just capping off one of the ends to the street so that it prevents people from utilizing that. Those are some creative ways of doing it. Again, we can put up speed monitoring systems, but those cost money as well. And just having the awareness that they're speeding. Everybody should already know they're speeding and they're not paying attention to it. So it is a tough situation. Yeah, having more police out on patrol would help. That's an option as well.
Thank you. The question goes to Tanya Foote.
This is an issue that has come up more and more. I live a block off Summit, and that is a speedway. And there's been various intersections near me that have been discussed whether they need to be a four-way stop or a two-way stop. I agree with Patrick that exposure on the Friends of St. Paul Park website helps. We can't have anybody hurt or killed. And it's not just school kids, it's people that are crossing streets or just going out of their house. So I agree that we really need more exposure. I'm not sure that we have more police activity that we can contribute to that, but it certainly is an ongoing issue. We need to all be very, very aware of it.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Then we'll move on to the next question, and it goes to Tanya first. Is there any role that St. Paul Park can play to make sure that the refinery staffing decisions haven't compromised safety?
Would you repeat that for me, please?
Is there any role that St. Paul Park can play to make sure that the refinery staffing decisions haven't compromised safety?
The refinery is a big part of our city. I know there was a recent strike, and that was settled. they're a significant part of our city. I'm not sure what else we can do. I don't know if anything has been compromised for the city. I'm not real aware of what was going on with the strike, but they were out there for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I'm not sure what else we can do to mitigate any of the repercussions. They need to be good neighbors, and I think they have been, for the most part, good neighbors. So I don't see any real issue with it.
Thank you. The question goes to Jeff Hagerty.
Yeah, sure. So the refinery it's in their own best interest to maintain safety. So I believe that the refinery is doing everything that they possibly can to maintain safety there. I have talked to some of the union members and some of the non-union members that worked for the refinery. All of them had positive things to say. I haven't talked to the refinery personally, but I did get a lot of input from their union and non-union employees there. And they believe that the refinery is doing things as safely as possible. It's a refinery.
Thank you. Question goes to Patrick Downs.
The problem with a business like that, or I should say the problem, but one of the things is that, I mean, they're operating under a lot of state and federal rules, which may or may not even give us an opportunity to do anything at the city level. I guess as far as what can we do to the refinery, again, talk to them. I know Mayor Dingle's on one of their advisory boards or one of their commissions, so there's some level of city involvement or some level of city interaction. So if that, maybe we need more, or we need to make sure that there's always at least somebody from the city on one of those advisory panels so that we have some input. And again, it's working with our own, with Chief Lee, and it's working with our own fire department in the event that if there's something does go awry, right, our people have sufficient training, and if that means that maybe the refinery's got to help out a little bit and continue to train our people, then I think that's a reasonable ask that benefits them and certainly will benefit us as the people who have to live next to it.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Swenson.
Thank you. Patrick was right on the nose with regards to the state and federal guidelines. There are more guidelines than the city would ever be able to mandate and understand. But I do know, again, that the Mayor Dingle is in close contact with the refinery, and I also know that the fire department trains and works closely with the fire department, with the fire services at the refinery, as does the Newport Fire Department. And so we do have open communication. We have been involved in, but we've been not too involved because it's a private entity, and the city, it's not necessarily a political idea that the city can get involved with.
Thank you. Question goes to Bruce Zenner.
There's not much more I can add to that. Everybody's been right on. There is a lot of training that fire does with the refinery. The police chief is our emergency director, and she's always in contact with the refinery and with the training and such that they go on. But yeah, with the state and federal regulations, I don't think we have that much say on what goes on.
Thank you. Any additional comments? We'll move on to the next question. It goes to you first, Bruce. What do you see as the city's role in revitalizing St. Paul Park businesses post-pandemic? And what other organizations play a role?
Could you repeat the question?
What do you see as the city's role in revitalizing St. Paul Park businesses post-pandemic? And what other organizations play a role?
I believe we have a grant program that would help current businesses. I believe it would also help bringing in businesses to repair or fix up their businesses so they could continue on. As for outside groups, I think that'd be up to whatever groups the commissions or the county and state offers type help.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Hagerty.
Yeah, sure. So again, I'm going to say the same thing. We just need to support our businesses, give opportunities to the businesses. If there's any incentives that are available that we can give to them, we should certainly do that. But we shouldn't be running the businesses as a city. Yeah, and as far as outside entities assisting them, we would certainly do whatever we can as a city, but again, I don't think we should be running businesses. Businesses should be running themselves.
Thank you. Question goes to Tanya Foote.
I believe there are grants that businesses can access. The businesses here and all over have taken really a direct hit because of the pandemic, and it's really been sad. We need to support, and I try to, as best I can, local businesses here when I need something or when I can buy something. I loved the idea of the food trucks. I'd like to see more of those, but obviously in the wintertime that won't work too well. But I believe there probably are some grants. I think our church got, what is it, a PPP, something like that loan, because we are a nonprofit. So something like that to revitalize our businesses, I think is really important.
Thank you. The question goes to Patrick Downs.
So I would circle back to one of my comments earlier about, places like the marina. The planning commission that I'm on, or the city council's job should be, how do we create rules, ordinances, how do we zone things to make them attractive, right? Because that's what we would be doing. We wouldn't be running businesses, we're running the city. So places like the marina, places like, Broadway, Main Street. Now, what can we do to make sure that, they can have outdoor seating, or do we need to work on hours? Now, for food-related businesses, now we're dealing with, things like the health department and the county, and so we've got some limits there. But from the city perspective, if we can zone and code in a way that isn't too burdensome, gives businesses opportunities to be creative and do some things like outdoor seating or expanded hours or takeout, that would be a great role for us. That'd be something where we go out, go door to door, business to business. What do you need? Come back to this chamber and make the changes that are reasonable and beneficial.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Swenson.
Thank you. I think, for instance, I'm trying to do my part by going to the Park Cafe as much as I possibly can to eat. And you'll find us
Everybody
something.
does,
We love it.
And I also know that the city has been a pass-through for, and it's not just the organizations on Broadway, but it's daycare providers and everything else, pass-through from the county, so that they can also continue during this time. I'm concerned about overstep of the city on this and an understanding where the city's liabilities stand. And this is more of a county and a state responsibility, but like we heard from the other candidates, there's things we can do to support the local business through Heritage Days, for instance. Make sure that Heritage Days runs next year, because the businesses on Broadway used to sustain themselves on that 1 or 2 nights a year, and let's get that back up and running.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional comments?
I'm glad that Jeff brought up the Heritage Days. I've missed that. I was the council liaison between the committee and the council, and when COVID canceled that, before that, I continued to volunteer with that committee. I would really like to see that event come back, because I think we've all missed it, and the businesses really have relied on that in the past. So I would love to see it return.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to add, yeah, we have some of the best food available in St. Paul Park, all the way down, the street. You can go to any restaurant. The Legion has excellent food, Park Cafe, Broadway Bar and Grill, Park Place. All of them have great food, great establishment, and they love seeing us come in and get food from them. They always have great service as well. So please go to those places.
Anyone else? We'll move on to the next question. It goes to Jeff Swenson first. What is the biggest problem or challenge facing St. Paul Park?
It's a very good question, and one I don't have a very good answer for. I think the city is very much in a good place. It's working off a plan right now, like we talked about, for infrastructure, for both streets and for water and sewer and sewage. We have great services for plowing. We have great police services and fire services, even though because of making sure of keeping our taxes at a reasonable rate, we don't necessarily have enough police on the streets to make sure that there isn't as much speeding, and then we're having trouble getting qualified firefighters in because of the amounts that we can pay them. So maybe that's it. It's just getting people engaged into the community, especially within the fire department, and stop speeding. How about that?
Thank you. Question goes to Tanya Foote.
I really believe we have a strong fire department, a strong police department, and a strong city council. I think that just more exposure with the issues would probably be the most challenging for us. There has been an erosion nationally with city government and national government, and I think that we need to further strengthen that very strong, important bond between the city and the council. I know this wasn't directly with the council, but we have a great city, we really do, and we just need to further tap into those resources.
Thank you. Question goes to Bruce Zenner.
All of our departments are well-staffed and trained. I think our biggest challenge is just being for growth, our limited opportunity for growth.
Thank you. Next goes to Jeff Haggerty.
Yeah, sure. So our biggest challenge in St. Paul Park, everybody, I'm glad Jeff Swenson got to do the question first, because this is a very difficult question. You know, and a lot of the questions that you guys have already asked are some of the difficult things that St. Paul Park faces. Yeah, so the police force, hiring talented police officers. We already have talented police officers, not what I'm talking about. But trying to fill the vacancies that we have for the police force, we need to do that. The fire department, yeah, sure, are we paying premium pay for each of those individuals? From what I understand, no, we're not. So we have to look at that as well to get the talent here, to keep St. Paul Park safe, the infrastructure, yeah, just a whole lot of things as the things come up. And one other thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands is the citizens need to come to the city council meetings so that the council understands what are their concerns. The several meetings that I've been to, there was very few citizens here. So I would like to see more citizens attend.
Thank you. Question goes to Patrick Downs.
I see a big challenge and a big opportunity on the horizon. I try to watch as many of the local planning commissions and city council meetings from all the local communities. And our good friends in Great Cloud Island, number one, they spend $100,000 a year on us for fire and police. So that's a pretty sizable budget issue. And they're having troubles paying for roads and paying for police and doing it all at the same time. And you even watch some of their council meetings, they talk about, you know, is Great Cloud Island Township going to survive? You know, we're talking about being landlocked. We're talking about growth opportunities. I think there's a place where I think we should be really seriously considering, you know, what's going on with our neighbors. Is that a place where we can maybe work with them? If Great Cloud Island is in trouble, it means they're going to be giving us less money for police and fire. Or if they disincorporate, I mean, that's something we need to really seriously think about. You know, let's make them a friend. Let's not let their challenges overwhelm them. I think there's an opportunity there for us.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional comments?
Could I just, on the fire department, just a reminder to people that we don't have a full-time fire department. We have a paid-on-call fire department. And for years, the wages have been low. We've just discussed about bringing them up to the minimum wage. So the volunteers that are out there, the part-time employees that are out there are doing this pretty much on their own. So the support that they get is well worth it.
Thank you. Anyone else? And we're going to move on to what will be our last question, and it goes to Jeff Haggerty first. What can be done to provide more handicapped parking and make downtown more accessible to those with mobility issues?
Right, yeah, sure. So many of the businesses do have some handicap access entrances, but some entrances, they're just not equipped for it, and it would require that they completely redo their building, completely redo their parking lot, and so they're grandfathered in, as I remember. Any opportunity, though, that when they're doing any remodeling or anything like that, the companies should take that into consideration. And again, businesses already understand what's in their best interest, and if they feel that they need to do those things, and if they're required by law, they need to do them. The City of St. Paul Park, again, will do whatever possible to enforce those things and encourage handicap spaces and parking.
Thank
And
you.
entrances, yeah.
Thank you. The question goes to Patrick Downs.
I really would like to see this as more of a business-led or sort of community-led issue, which is if people are having problems with having access, I'd like to, bring it to us, bring it to the planning commission, bring it to the city council, call Mr. Walsh. I mean, we've got sidewalks that are cut with ramps. If we need more designated spots, I mean, I wouldn't think that I'm so smart or have such a ability to forecast that I know where the spots should be, what parts of the city, which businesses. So again, this is really where it has to be, I think, business and community driven. If somebody sees a need, they just have to speak up. Because I guarantee you, whatever iteration or variation of the city council or planning commission is going to happen, after November 2nd, they're all going to be responsive, no matter who's on the commission, no matter who's on the council, or who's sitting in what chair. I would just like to see this, again, as a more citizen, business-driven decision, because we're there to help, but we're not always the best at prognosticating where the need is.
Thank you. Question goes to Bruce Center.
In the downtown area on Broadway, there are 4 handicap spots behind the Legion. All the businesses do have handicap accessibility, but there's no handicap parking spots on Broadway for any of the businesses. And the curbing down there is kind of even though it's a standard curb, somebody with a disability, it is difficult to get up over that curb. So the cutouts are at the corners, so they either have to park far away from the businesses or whatever. But I would like to see a couple more on-street handicap parking spots.
Thank you. Question goes to Tanya Foote.
This is more or less a personal issue for me because my husband is in a wheelchair, and it's very difficult for me to get him out and to push him. The phrase, if you see something, say something, and I think Patrick kind of hit that on the head. The citizens have to ask maybe for more parking, for more handicap parking places down there. I don't take him out very much, but it would really be an issue for me if I couldn't park directly in front of a business and have a handicap sidewalk to push him into that. So it's an important issue for all of us, I believe.
Thank you. Question goes to Jeff Swenson.
Well, thank you for that question, whoever sent that in, because it really wasn't on the city's radar per se. We don't have many individuals coming in talking to us about this very topic. And so it does bring to light, like Bruce was stating, that there isn't any handicap parking spots dedicated on Broadway. But I also think of Old National Bank on Hastings, and that was renovated, and when it was renovated, it was brought up to code, and now that has a handicap parking spot and accessible doors and an ability to get in. And so I think it's these older buildings that we have within, especially the downtown, when we think of the businesses. But believe me, there are businesses throughout the city. But when we think of the downtown area, those are some old buildings that have not been renovated in a long time. And I think when they are finally renovated, they'll be brought up to code at that point. But it's an interesting thing that you brought up, Bruce, is that there isn't a spot on that whole of Broadway. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Then we're going to move to closing statements, and we will start with our 2 candidates who are running for the 2-year term. And we will start with Jeff Haggerty.
So I hope through these questions you've been able to see what I'm like, my personality, and kind of my thoughts on how St. Paul Park should be run. Like I said before, I've lived here all my life. That's 60 years. And so I've enjoyed living in St. Paul Park. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, which is one of the reasons why I want to run for city council. Let's see, and again, I'm open to anybody calling me, sending me a Facebook message, whatever, text message, just between 5 PM and 9 PM, not later than 9 PM, please. But yeah, my telephone number is 651-387-9682. Text messages work well. And then Facebook, I'm on Facebook, people can look me up. Thank you very much, and please vote November 2nd.
Thank you. Next with her closing statement is Tanya Foote.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters. You've done an outstanding job, and I think all of us are grateful for hosting this. Also to the South Washington County Commission for videotaping that. This, as Jeff said, this is an opportunity for us to share what we are like as best we can within this hour, what our priorities are, what's important to us. I've lived in St. Paul Park for 25 years, not quite the 60 that you've done, but about half of that. It's a fabulous community, and I would, again, really appreciate the opportunity to, again, represent the citizens of St. Paul Park by being elected to the city council for a 2-year term. And please vote in November.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from the 3 candidates who are running for the 4-year term, and we'll begin with Patrick Downs.
As I said before in my opening statement, I really have come to enjoy being a part of local government, really being able to participate in the city, being election judge. I truly enjoy meeting people. I see people all the time out on the street, at the grocery store, ask me questions. Being on the planning commission, I get people coming up to me, talking to me, asking me questions too, and I love that engagement. And again, if there's any theme that's come through with me tonight or anything that people take away is I want engagement. I want people to talk to us. I want you to come up to your planning commissions, come to the meetings, talk to your city council people, call Mr. Walsh. Nothing gets done, nothing will get better unless we hear from you. In law school, my professor said, the world is run by the people who show up, right? And the people who show up are the ones who are going to fix the problems, and they're going to be the ones that are going to listen to what's going on. So please, call me, call somebody, come vote, and just be involved. It doesn't take a lot. It's not as hard as you think it is, and really you can make a difference with not a whole lot of effort.
Thank you. Next with his closing statement is Bruce Zenner.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us here. I got to agree with everybody up here. Come to the council meetings. It is rather lonely. This is a large group for us tonight to see. It's a little scary. But it would be nice to have people show up and actually let us know their concerns. And obviously, you can contact us. I would like to continue on what I've been doing. I see this city with a bright future. And so come out and vote November 2nd, and obviously show up for some meetings and let us know how you feel.
Thank you. Next with his closing statement is Jeff Swenson.
Thank you, Liz. First, again, I'd like to say thanks to the league for having this, for having us here tonight. It's a great opportunity to let the residents know who we are and what we're about, what each of our strengths and talents are. And like I stated before, you couldn't go wrong with any one of the 5 or 6 individuals. It just depends on what's important to you and what you heard tonight. I've really enjoyed being your council member for the past 16 years. I thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor. This is a great community. I think we're on a very good path in a lot of respects. I would love to be part of one of those individuals who are assisting on that path for the next 4 years. So please consider me when you go to the polls. And remember, it's hard to come out and vote on a non-federal or state election year because I remember some years we would have maybe 70, 80 votes would win an election here. So please come out and vote. We have a very important school board election coming up. So we'll see you on November 2nd.
Thank you. The League thanks the candidates for their participation, the South Washington County Government Access Channel for broadcasting this event, the City of St. Paul Park for the use of their facilities, our League volunteers, and you, our audience, for your attendance and interest. Let your voice be heard by voting on November 2nd. Thank you and good night.